From the home of the great Mario Lemieux, the Blues wrap up their 6-game road trip in Pittsburgh. And it's the first meeting since the deadline deal that saw the Blues acquire defenseman Robert Bortuzzo for former first-rounder Ian Cole. The Blues look to snap their 3-game winless streak tonight at Consol Energy Center in Pittsburgh. Tonight, it's the St. Louis Blues against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And we say hello from the broadcast booth. I'm John Kelly. Well, tonight's game ends a rugged stretch for the St. Louis Blues as they wrap up a season-long 6-game road trip. And going back even further, the Blues playing tonight their 11th road game in the last 14, so they've seen a lot of the road in the last 3 weeks. As we welcome in Darren Pang, who is down between the benches tonight. Darren, if they win tonight, they're 3-1-2 on this 6-game trip.
Yeah, it makes it a very successful road trip, and as you mentioned, a very, very difficult part of the season for the St. Louis Blues, and many teams are on the road for this long. But I thought they were very gritty, going back-to-back. Disappointing loss in Minnesota. Battled back hard at Joe Louis Arena. Got a bad break at the very end with the broken stick, as we well know, but they managed to gather 1 point out of that one. The key here is getting off to a better first period against the Pittsburgh Penguins that are pretty sharp to start hockey games.
Well, Pittsburgh beat the Blues a few weeks ago in St. Louis 4-2, and Darren, as you know, these clubs have consummated a couple of trades this year. Gotch and Bortuzzo have come to St. Louis. Lapierre and Cole are now members of the Penguins.
Yeah, a lot of familiarity here, but as we know, when the puck drops, that'll all change. But certainly when you look at the changes, Marcel Gotch and Max Lapierre, that trade was earlier. Ian Cole, the former first-rounder, very likable guy for Robert Bortuzzo. Quite frankly, the Blues really needed a player like Robert Bortuzzo, and he's really endeared himself to his teammates. Right off the hop, he threw his 6'4", 218-pound body around. He backed up his teammates. He's got some good hockey sense as well, paired primarily with Barrett Jackman, not afraid to throw them down as well. And obviously a guy that closes gaps. He's our BJC Healthcare difference maker. And after that hit by Dion Phaneuf against TJ Oshie, as soon as Phaneuf came out of the box, who was there? But number 41, making sure that every one of the St. Louis Blues players knew that Robert Bortuzzo had their back, and that means an awful lot.
No question about it. Well, anytime you talk about the Penguins, you have to talk about Sid the Kid, Sid Crosby, who leads the league right now with 74 points. But Darren, don't forget about Tarasenko and a few others. Tarasenko, you never know, could overtake Crosby down the stretch here. He's only 4 points behind.
Only 4 behind. And I think Vladdy Tarasenko's been a dog with a bone lately. He's wanted the puck. He's hunted the puck. He's created a lot of shot attempts at the opposition net. And he wants to take control of his line and create scoring chances. But whenever you get two electrifying players like this together, it's bound to be a great hockey game.
It's Tarasenko against Crosby. The Blues in Pittsburgh to wrap up a 6-game, 10-day road trip. And Jake Allen is back in goal. He started the other day in Detroit. In his last 2 starts, Jake Allen has stopped 51 of 53 shots. And he'll be opposed by the Flower Marc-Andre Fleury. Lifetime against the Blues, 3-4-1. He is coming off a 3-1 victory in Arizona. Our game is next from Pittsburgh. St. Louis Blues hockey is brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. In, up, fix, out, Dobbs does it all. Get great offers on 2015 Chevy models. Find new roads at your Mid-America Chevrolet dealer. And by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. And we are back in the Steel City Consol Energy Center in downtown Pittsburgh. It's the Blues and Penguins, and tonight's starting goaltenders. Jake Allen has never faced the Penguins, and Allen's on a roll in the new year, 7-1-2 in his last 10 starts in 2015 against Marc-Andre Fleury, who is 3-4-1 against the Blues. Blues hockey is sponsored by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. And the Penguins off the faceoff come in. And a shot from the wing by Blake Comeau is tipped away. Comeau starts with Sutter and Chris Kunitz against the David Backes line.
Yeah, Mike Johnson, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins, opting for 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. So we will see a jumblation of these line combinations for Pitt.
And off the face-off, former Penguins Zbigniew Michalek. And now on for Oshie. Hard pass to Backes. Trying to split the defense, taken out by Christian Ehrhoff. Now Bouwmeester in for the point. And scorched by Oshie. And here comes Kunitz. Trying to flip one on the wing for Brandon Sutter. And the Blues get back to break it up. Blues coming off a 2-1 overtime loss in Detroit. As Oshie makes a move, and that puts the play offside.
That would mean that Sidney Crosby, instead of playing with Chris Kunitz, will have Dan Winnick in the lineup, acquired from Toronto, as TJ Oshie fires that one late there. It's an offside situation, but Crosby and David Perron will have Winnick on that left side, although they're going to go for a quick change again. Looks like Mike Johnson wants Nick Spaulding up against the Stastny line.
Not dressed tonight. Carl Gunnarsson, upper body injury. Ole Jokinen, Dmitry Yashkin, and Butler are the healthy scratches. And now the Blues at the line. Berglund can't move it in. And the Penguins chip it down the ice. Here's Lindholm back. Lost it. It comes in front off the glove of Allen. And now he scoops it up.
Never hurts to slow things down while you're on the road and in your 6th game in 10 nights. So that brings us to our Toyota keys to the game early on here in Pittsburgh. And you've got to battle to win that first period. It has been a drought of sorts for the Blues in terms of goals for, goals against in the first period, and take care of the inside of the ice. Obviously, Ken Hitchcock knows the explosiveness of players like Sidney Crosby, even Blake Comeau, David Perron, and they want to keep them to the outside.
And a drive by Ian Cole, fought off by Jake Allen. The Blues have not scored a first period goal since March 10th when Schwartz scored against Winnipeg. As the Penguins move in, and the captain Crosby, he drops it off, broken up by Michalek. And now for Oshie, can't clear it. Centered to Crosby, and again the Blues have good coverage in front. And now Backes swings in. And his shot was off the leg of Cole. Goes back to the goal. Steen there. Gets away from 2 Penguins. And now Steen to the line, but Michalek had to backpedal. And the puck comes to center ice.
Yeah, that's a situation. I think Michalek's still getting used to that play. The Blues have kept that inside the zone, and they're relying upon Michalek to stay inside the blue line to keep that in.
And now the Blues into the zone with Jori Lehtera. Trying to slide one through for Schwartz. Bertuzzo almost picked off that clearing attempt. It's off him down the ice. Allen quickly around the boards. Jake Allen made a lot of real good, decisive puck decisions the other day in Detroit.
Did he ever? Very good with his feet. And when you have hockey sense and that agility, you can get to pucks quick and make better decisions.
Now Schwartz steals the puck. And then Lehtera down low. And Reeves in with a big hit. Walk at the line. Jackman can't hold it in.
And that's the guy to finish your check on. Letang is having a Norris Trophy type season on the blue line for the Penguins, and he just got stung there by that big hit from Reeves.
Yeah, 54 points, second among all defensemen. Now the Blues send it around now for Ott. Slides it ahead. Reeves one-hands it into the zone. And former Penguin Marcel Gottsch there for the Blues. Along with Ott, it comes free to Gottsch. He goes to the line, but that was intercepted before Lindholm could get it. Now Ott has lost his lid. And here's Max Lapierre. But the play is offside.
Lindholm had a pretty good hold there on Max Lapierre, but you go back to that hit, and Chris Letang, of course, a terrific season. They're 27-7-2 when he gets a point in the game, and there's the stick comes up after he hits Reeves. It's his own stick that comes up there and plugs him right in the schnoz right there, and his eyes were watering when he was heading to the bench over to my right. And John Kelly, I take this opportunity to thank the Pittsburgh Penguins in allowing us to share the between the bench portion of this game with former NHLer Bob Airey. A lot of fun being down here, and we're thankful for that.
Absolutely. Now the puck at center, swatted in by Porter, on with Stastny and Berglund. Puck comes around. Pietrangelo can't get there in time, but Porter follows up and flings one to the corner. And now for Berglund. And he lost the handle. Then Rob Scuderi to center ice. And then it's snapped in by David Perron, who was picked up in a trade back in December from Edmonton, the former first rounder of the Blues. And the puck is floated wide of the Blues goal. And Lindholm back defending. Spun around by Perron. Now Perron to the line. Scuderi to the corner for Crosby, who had a goal called back against the Blues a few weeks ago. Has never scored against St. Louis. And now to center ice, Pietrangelo. That comes around Scuderi. Now for Derek Pouliot, who was called up for the minors today. And Backes steals it. Backes tight angle, a shot on goal. And a save by Fleury. And then McCulloch back to the goal. Backes and Oshie play catch below the goal line. Here's Oshie again. Deep slot to Steen, a shot. Right on. Rebound. Oshie can't get it in. Fleury has lost his goal stick. And now McCulloch back to the goal. Oh, a couple of great chances there for the Blues. And now it comes in front. Steen. Now he loses his stick. And the Penguins march to center ice.
Oh, a couple of great saves there by Marc-Andre Fleury. Career season for him in net as far as the stats are concerned, but those were 3 athletic saves there.
And now he has his goal stick as the Blues dump it in from center ice.
That was a slow-moving pass there to Alexander Steen from the goal line to the top of the circles, and it got to Steen, who just let her rip. Steen had the only goal in the game in Detroit.
Now the puck played by the Blues. Bertuzzo, nice outlet for Schwartz. To Tarasenko behind the defense, and he can't get there in time as he was closed off by Ehrhoff.
Oh, then he finishes Ehrhoff off with a big hit.
Ehrhoff is down.
Slow now. Ehrhoff, of course, got banged up, didn't play in their last game, and he is hurt. That's why they dressed the 7 defensemen to protect themselves in case Ehrhoff went down. But watch the shoulder-to-shoulder here. Bang. And then I'm not sure if the impact on the right shoulder, it looks to me by the end when he went into the boards with the left shoulder. That's never a good sight when a player can't get up. For the 6'2", 205-pound German native, Christian Ehrhoff went to dinner with Marcel Gottsch. They're obviously good buddies. Thomas Greiss, the German goaltender as well.
And Ehrhoff has had a concussion issue this year. And as you mentioned, Darren was scratched the other night after taking part in the warm-up in Arizona.
Yeah, that's a groggy player coming back. And we've seen that look before. And these head injuries are something everybody takes very seriously. And your gas level never quite gets full up, I don't believe. And right now, he'll temporarily anyway join a few other wounded Penguins, and Pascal Dupuis is out for the season. Tough luck there for he and the Penguins. Good teammate as well, Patrick Hornquist and Evgeny Malkin as well.
Although both Malkin and Hornquist could play on the weekend for the Penguins, according to first-year coach Mike Johnston. And Ehrhoff goes to the Penguin locker room. And the puck comes around for Crosby. He lets it go for Paul Martin. And now Lindholm back defending. Penguins pry it free. And a drive by Letang, and that hit the outside of the goalpost. You can hear it from up here, Darren.
That's a good shot by Letang. It has eyes there through traffic, just on the glove side there of goaltender Jake Allen.
Now Martin's pass. Steve Downey comes in and puts it in behind the Blues goal. Now Lindholm for Bouwmeester. Up the boards now to Porter. And his wrist shot hit a Penguin player. That was off Ben Lovejoy, who was picked up in a trade from Anaheim. And now the Penguins, Downey skips one to center ice. And then Bouwmeester now for Jackman. Through the middle, intended for Berglund. He was bumped. And the Blues are changing Bertuzzo on the ice. Hand is back to Jackman. And now Bertuzzo again. Little flip backhand pass to Backes. Trying to get to the slot. He did, but lost the puck. And the Penguins clear it. And then Bertuzzo will shovel it back in. Fleury looks to play it for Lovejoy on the glass, and that bounced over Bertuzzo's stick. But he gets back and makes a good play.
Yeah, good second effort there by big Robert Bertuzzo.
And now it's Oshie. For Backes, a shot. Tough angle. That was wide. And McCulloch could not hold it in. And now McCulloch for Backus. He lets it go. Oshie missed it. And it's Ian Cole now for the Penguins.
Yeah, and McCulloch, a one-time Pittsburgh Penguin as well. Signed a big 5-year deal with $4 million after becoming an unrestricted free agent a few years ago in Arizona before being traded back.
Yeah, played here a couple of years and played a lot with Paul Martin on defense. And a shot by Bouwmeester. That's high. And it was tipped, and that goes out of play. 12:41 to go, first period. Scoreless in Pittsburgh.
Well, back we are in a rousing standing ovation here in Pittsburgh for the legendary Mike Lang, their play-by-play announcer, celebrating 40 years. And he just got a chance to see this. Some great goaltending from Marc-Andre Fleury. First stop attempt and a saucy little backhand pass by Oshie right on the tape to Steen. Great save there by Fleury. And then he makes another save before Oshie bangs it on the outside of the net.
Fleury, the former first overall pick in 03. And, of course, led the Penguins to the Stanley Cup in 2009. Tarasenko, nice pass to Lindboe. He works in a shot, and that's tipped off a Penguin stick and wide. And now Laterra gets it off the wall. Schwartz back for Lindboe. Down low, Tarasenko, now in front. Oh, to Schwartz, he was wide open, and it just rolled over his stick. And now the Penguins to center ice. Winnick, and then it's flipped in deep. Crosby goes after it. And the Blues get back, and a nice play by Pietrangelo. And he walks on to center ice. Shots are 4-3 for the Blues, no score. As both teams make changes.
Good first scoring opportunity there for the Tara Schwartz and Tarasenko line. Tarasenko has that in the middle of the ice. He played it to his backhand over to Schwartz, but the puck was bouncing. Never got flat for Schwartz. Never had a chance to get that on net.
And now Craig Adams, number 27, shoots it down. Allen sets the table for Jackman. Now for Ott. Good reverse hit there on Cole. As Cole goes down, he gets up. And they battle away at the Blues line. And now Cole is drilled by Reeves. Snapped along by Rob Scuderi. And then Jackman up the boards. There's Ott involved again with Cole.
That's a good battle over there. Ott really braced himself for that first hit. I mean, as we well know, Ian Cole's a big, strong kid, and Ott was ready for it.
And it's tipped to the Blues line. Recovered now by McCulloch. To his partner, Bouwmeester. And then Oshie gets a piece of it. And that sails back to the goal. Well, Fleury gave it away. The centering pass is knocked up in the air down the ice. And that's going to be an icing call against the Penguins.
A couple of big hits there, Blake Como and Jay Bouwmeester here, but we'll take this time to go to our dirt cheap snapshot of the game. And here is that plaque that they're going to throw up here in Great Arena here from Mike Lang, 40 years of play-by-play action. Started out obviously on the television side, and Michael Motorcycle.
He has got a lot of great sayings, doesn't he?
And they've got all the sayings on that plaque. It's sharp looking.
The former Foster Hewitt Memorial winner is Mike Lang. Now it is McCulloch, his pass. And that goes wide of the Pittsburgh net. No icing, though. Now Oshie on the forecheck. His shot blocked. And then played by Pouliot up the middle. And now moved ahead. And then dumped in by Ben Lovejoy. McCulloch back defending. Now for Bouwmeester. And here comes Backus into open ice. Penguins play it back at the goal. Now around for Perron. And the Penguins slowly up the middle. Now for Perron again. And then swatted ahead. Lindboe backs it the other way. Now Paul Martin. He is held up a bit by Stastny. And then it's played to Letang. And here come the Penguins with Daniel Winnick. Winnick on the outside, in front, tip, and that goes just wide. There was Crosby in there for the Penguins. And now Perron. Here's Martin to Crosby. On the backhand, lets it go. And that was blocked by Pietrangelo. Now another shot by Crosby blocked. And they work hard in the corner. Crosby to the line. Here's Martin. Wrist shot. Looking for a tip off the mark. Pressured by this top line of the Penguins. Crosby wrapped up by Pietrangelo. Can't center it. And now the Penguins force another turnover. Sutter in front. Crosby turned the other way, now to the line. Here's Cole, a drive, and that goes wide, and then swatted away by Jake Allen. And the Blues finally relieve the pressure.
Yeah, that's a hard shift on the legs there for Jake Allen. A lot of post-to-post, making sure you're covering, who's behind the net, and then to the front in the slot, because Sidney Crosby stayed on for an extended period of time. His two wingers had gone off the ice, and Downey, who's always a presence in front of the net. Bo Bennett is well there, but good active stick there by Jake Allen. Is that hard shot from Ian Cole? Cole had no chance to get it on the net, so he fired it just wide, looking for the big carom off the boards, but Jake Allen was sharp and ready for it.
And the Blues win the faceoff.
And the bantering between David Perron and Ryan Reeves and Steve Ott was priceless between the benches.
And of course, Reeves and David Perron, former teammates, as the Blues get the puck. Long feed to center to Berglund. He can't move it ahead. Now the Penguins come in. Downey, top of the circle. Now lets it go. Blocked by the right skate of Jackson. And trying to get away from Bo Bennett. And then played on to Laterra. And then Jackman funnels it up the near side. And now the Blues can finally complete their line change. With 8:15 to go in the first period. Penguins, by the way, have lost 4 of their last 5 games overall, and their last 2 here at home. Now the puck up the board for Schwartz. Tarasenko now for Bertuzzo. And Tarasenko again can't work around the Penguin defense. Here comes Chris Kunitz back the other way. Broken up. Martin follows up. Can't pull the trigger. And now Martin ladles one to the corner where it's grabbed by Gotch. And his pass to Tarasenko. And the Penguins break it up. And then Martin down low. Trying to spin away from Jackman. As the Penguins go on the attack, Bertuzzo lost it. Now Schwartz far side to Jackman. And he puts it high off the glass. And then back to center ice.
That's smart play by Jackman. Veteran move there using the glass like that. The Penguins got their first big push here of the hockey game, but not a whole lot of quality shots in the middle of the ice.
BMO Harris Bank wants you to show your sign in support of the Blues. Tweet a picture of you and your sign to hashtag BMO Blues Sign Contest for a chance to win Blues prizes and have it shown in an upcoming broadcast. Visit BMOHarris.com/Blues Sign Contest or visit a local branch near you. And from the face-off, it goes to Backes. Now in front to Oshie, and that was blocked by the goaltender Fleury. And the Penguins fly it high down the ice, and that will be an icing call against the home team.
Well, Blake Como went in there on the forecheck just a few shifts ago on Jay Bouwmeester, and Bouwmeester lets it go there, and there you see Como tries to drill him there. Como didn't like it, but you got to like the fact that Jay Bouwmeester there just built the fence around him and knocked down Como. Como initiating that hit.
Now Steen on the face-off against Sutter. Sutter wins it. And Letang a pass. Out of the zone, but Oshie gets it back to the Blues. 3-on-2. In the deep slot to back as a shot tipped on goal by Steen and a save by Fleury.
What a save with his left toe.
And the Penguins clear it away. Trying to make a change. Allen now ahead to Steen, who dumps one right back in the Penguin end. Boy, Fleury has been sharp early on. Penguins to center ice. Then Crosby to Perron. Lindholm blocked that pass. Fed in behind the goal. Now around to Winnick. And then for Perron. He is bothered there by Lindholm. And now Perron on the cycle. Steen trying to step in front of Winnick. And then Pietrangelo and Crosby, of course, former teammates on the Canadian Olympic team.
Yeah, long shift here for Steen as well.
And now the puck up in the air, knocked down by a Penguin player. Here's Winnick at the line. Long shot by Lovejoy. Chip wide. And then the Blues get it. Reeves will get a piece. And it goes on goal. No, it doesn't. Just through the goal crease. But that is an icing call.
Robert Bortuzzo getting into this game early, going by the Penguins bench and saying something to one of their players. But you see this one quick play here by Backes to Steen, redirection, and Kunitz is right there as Oshie's driving hard. But that's a terrific save there by Fleury. That shot was just off the mark for a redirection, and great reaction save.
And the Blues win the faceoff. And the pass ahead to Reeves wasn't quite ready for it. Adams, former Cup winner in Carolina, he keeps it in. And now for Lapierre. That shot hit a leg. Bangs back to Adams. Now back to the Blues for Bo Bennett. And the Blues break it up. Adams again. And now the Blues finally relieve the pressure.
That's a good break right there, too, because Steen's still on the ice. Extended from his regular shift after that scoring chance, and then the icing call.
Now the Penguins into the zone. They've been held to 3 shots in this opening period. And now it's Bennett back of the goal. And he looks around. In the slot. Good defensive work there by Schwartz to break it up. And then Cole kept it alive. And around for Lapierre. He's bumped by Bortuzzo. And then Jackman for Schwartz. And the puck up the middle. On a second chance, Schwartz does clear it. At the line, it is Schwartz again. But no room there for the native of Wilcox, Saskatchewan. And then shot in deep by Nick Spaulding. Those get back. Boy, Darren, there's been a lot of zone time for the Penguins, but they have not produced a lot of shots so far.
No, they haven't, but they've really caught the Blues on their heels. JK, they're putting some good pressure, and clearly the Blues, the shifts are getting longer. One little turnover ends up in time and space in their own zone. There's a big hit there by Porter on Kunitz.
And then Kunitz pushes Porter as he gets up. Play continues. It's been a penalty-free game so far. Now Porter. He'll jam one behind the goal. Shot around by Pouliot. Here comes Chris Kunitz. Now to Lovejoy, a drive, but a turnaround shot wide. Another shot fired in front by Como. Blues break it up.
Oh, I tell you, what a battle between Porter and Kunitz in that last shift. Good battle there. And Porter held his own, no question about that.
Lindbom's shot tipped away. 3:35 to go in the opening period. 0-0.
Back inside our Fox Sports Midwest live studio at Ballpark Village. Blues and Pens scoreless. 3:35 to go in that first period in Pittsburgh. Coming up on the SAPAW GM Country Intermission Report, going to break down the first 20 minutes in our AT&T Rewind. We'll get Bernie's take and a look around a big night in the National Hockey League. But now it's back to John and Darren in the Berg, guys.
All right, Darren, the Penguins have not had a shot in the last 10 minutes and 53 seconds.
No, they're a quick starting team. They want to get those shots on goal. That's one of their goals. 10 shots, first 10 minutes. Establish that part of it. But it is the physical part of it has really picked up. Good battle between Kunitz and Porter in that last shift. And there's Kunitz finishing the check on that cardboard to my right.
Now the Blues enter the zone. Oshie gets the puck in behind the goal. Pietrangelo there. Trying to center one. Pinballs around Steen with his stick between a Penguin leg. And now Steen against Como. Here's Oshie back of the goal. Roughed up by Lovejoy. And now Lovejoy ahead. Lindbom with his stick. Holds it in for the moment. And now played ahead by Como into Sutter. And a shot wide by a foot. And it goes all the way off the glass to center ice. And now Chris Letang. Worked in for Como. Can't get a shot through. And then Bouwmeester comes up with it on his backhand. And now ahead for Jori Lehtera. And he gets it in off the wall. Fleury trying to play it. And he puts it around. Good job by Fleury. And then Crosby at center ice. And his pass blocked by Tarasenko.
That good play by Lehtera, making sure he's finishing the hit on that. Crosby's so good at the give and goes. You got to watch him as soon as he moves the puck. He's going to dart into open space.
Now the Penguins at the line. Crosby gets it deep. And then is stood up by McCulloch. Puck poked around the near side. Schwartz can't get there. And now Winnick to Martin. And a pass to Crosby. Great stick there to break it up by Tarasenko. Away with Schwartz. 2-on-1. To Schwartz, a shot wide. Tarasenko from the corner. And a pad save by Fleury, and the Penguins shoot it down the ice, but no icing here. As both clubs make changes. And Gotch picks his way through center ice. Here's Reeves in behind the Penguin goal. Against Scuderi. And played the other way. Ian Cole trying to clear it. He does. And now Bertuzzo back to break that up. And Jackman leads the Blues in the zone. Caught from behind by Nick Spaulding. Now it goes back of the cage. Cole rattled hard by Reeves. And no love lost against his former teammate Ian Cole. And now Lapierre. Speaking of former Blues. In front. And a pass through the slot. Then he is decked by Reeves. And then Lapierre broke his stick. And now we're in the final minute here of the first period.
Funny, broken sticks are the theme here, without a question, based on that goal in Detroit. But Lapierre actually had a broken stick while he swung around and shot that puck.
Now Porter for Stastny back in front. Porter chops it. Comes through the slot. And then recovered by Pietrangelo. Out high to Porter. And a shot. And a big traffic jam in front. Stastny involved. And he might get a penalty here. A delayed call here. It will be interference on Stastny.
Well, the big question here is whether or not he's pushed into the goaltender, Marc-Andre Fleury.
2 minutes for goaltender interference.
Fleury's on his right side. You can see Stastny's trying to slide in there, and he's trying to cut to between the white and the blue paint, and he gets shoved in there. Just a little bit of it to knock him off balance.
And the Penguins will be on the power play for the first time tonight. Overall, 19.8%, 8th best. And the faceoff won by Backes. Fired out by Pietrangelo. Blues on the kill, 83%. And they are ranked 9th. In the final 15 seconds of the opening period. And Crosby's pass blocked by Steen for Jackman. That's off Perron and out of play. And they'll bring the face-off to center ice. Here, and one thing we talked to Ray Bennett about before the game, about all the penalties the Blues have been taking. He feels the coaches do that if you skate more, compete harder, you can eliminate some bad penalties.
Well, they took the 4 penalties in the third period in Detroit, but you got to keep in mind that's two games in 22 hours, and against a rested team, that's a pretty quick team as well. But yeah, if you're on the defensive side of the puck, you're not going to end up reaching. But fact of the matter is, there's some games you just don't have the legs, and you're making an effort, and you end up tripping a player, or stick gets caught in the midsection. I think it's easier to evaluate those kind of minor penalties when you have fresh legs and fresh minds instead of 2 games in 22 hours.
0.8 of a second left. They'll pull the goalie here. Crosby against Gotch. Gotch wins it. And another scoreless first period.
Well, the first period scoring drought continues as Steve Ott and David Perron continue their words. They had an exchange after Perron's first shift. I think the Blues just trying to get in his kitchen and rattle some pans around a little bit against the emotional former Blue.
So nothing after 1. The Blues outshoot the Penguins 7-3 in the opening frame. Of course, the power play will carry over into the second period. Scoreless after 1 here in Pittsburgh. No score after 1. The Blues and Penguins as they wrap up their regular season series. John Kelly back in the broadcast booth. And pleased to be joined by the guy they call Shatty. Kevin Shattenkirk is our guest here, of course, coming off abdominal surgery. And it's been about 7 weeks since you got hurt in Washington. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Feeling good. I had a good visit to the doctor yesterday down in Philadelphia and got the all clear to get back into full team practices, and it feels good to kind of have that clearance and be ready to get things going here so soon, hopefully.
And now you're involved in contact. I guess that's the next step to getting back in the lineup, isn't it?
Yeah, do some battle drills in the corner, see how it feels kind of manning up against the guy in the corner, and So far so good. Everything felt great this morning, and hopefully this week will be a good progression.
Well, it would be great to see you back. How hard has it been to be out of the lineup for almost 8 weeks?
It's tough. I think I counted today. This is my 25th game out, so it was, it's different. This is the first time this has happened to me, and it's just the way it goes. But sometimes you just got to deal with it.
Ready for the second period here. Again, Kevin Shattenkirk is in our broadcast booth. Darren Pang is down between the benches. The Penguins on the power play. For a minute 25 to start this second period. As they leave it for Crosby. And now along for Perron. Steen back defending along with Pietrangelo. And the puck taken by Backes. Fans on the clearing attempt. Pouliot. Now to Letang, a drive. Blocked by Jackman. Got a stick in the lane. And it comes over to Backes, and he rips it down the ice.
That was a good defensive play there originally, but then Sidney Crosby, strong on his stick, just whacking it right off the hands, basically, of David Backes. So tough to defend against Sidney Crosby, isn't it, Shaddy?
Yeah, he's got a great low center of gravity. He always seems to hang on to that puck, and obviously his skill set is pretty darn high.
Now it is Perron for Pouliot in front of Crosby. 30 left in the power play. He'll drop one to the corner to Kunitz. Good stick there by the Blues, and Gotch will hammer it all the way down the ice.
Well, when you notice Sidney Crosby doesn't have a very long blade, hardly has any curve whatsoever. Good at his forehand, good at his backhand, and yesterday Jake Allen was saying that he studied that at an early age. His dad reinforced that. Know the curves, know which way they shoot. Just know the small tendencies. So he said, no, don't worry, I'm well aware of Sidney Crosby and what kind of curve and what he's good at. And you're right about the low center of gravity and the powerful skater that Sidney Crosby is. On the top of your screen on the left, you're going to see David Backes thinks he's going to get it out, but it was a whack on the top of the shaft of his stick there that kept that puck inside the Penguin zone. You know what, Shaddy, what amazes me at ice level is how good you guys are at taking a puck, a hard, crisp pass from your skates and controlling that and getting it to your stick. He's one of the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And, some guys enjoy that. Some guys like to try to catch it on their feet, and, they somehow like that better than keeping it on their stick. Oshie's one of those guys as well.
Is he ever good at it, huh?
Oh, he loves it.
He's a magician.
Blues are back at full strength. The Penguins had no shots on that power play. And Lovejoy to center ice. Now for Downey. And around to Cole trying to center one. Blues get back defensively. And now back on the line. Long shot again by Lovejoy.
That's all Lovejoy could do. Schwartz did a good job of taking away the shooting angle.
Now Lovejoy again, a drive off a leg wide. That may have hit Lapierre. And Schwartz trying to dig it free along with Laterra. And the Lapierre is closed off by Bouwmeester. And the Blues take over. Long pass to Tarasenko. Again, Kevin Shattenkirk in our booth. And Shatty, I remember your injury very well in Washington. It was a Sunday afternoon game. You sort of collided with a Capital player and just went down. Did you know right away it was a tear in your stomach muscle?
Yeah, it was weird. It was just a moment where I tried to get myself back up, and as my body kept moving, my leg caught in the ice and kind of opened me up, and I just felt a huge pop. I knew it was something in my groin and my low ab area, and instantly just felt a huge burn, and I knew something pretty serious had happened.
Well, Shaddy, when the season ended last year, the training staff, the coaches, they asked everybody to throw 10% more in the offseason. I think you went above and beyond that to get yourself in the best shape of your career. Do you think that kind of condition you're in has helped you get through this injury even quicker?
Yeah, I think the thing that you really don't realize through an injury is how important it is to, stay on little things like your diet and, in little things that you wouldn't really think could make that big of a difference to get you back sooner. But, like you said, we've got a great training staff here who've really helped me out a lot along the way, and it's been a long process, but at the same time, it's been good to kind of still be involved with the team and have a lot of people supporting me there.
Well, this is a good cutback move right here by Crosby, finding the late man, Paul Martin. You know Paul pretty well, pretty good on the offensive side of it.
Absolutely. He always plays with his head up. He always seems to be looking for that next play like you saw there. He's a great player, great passer. and just smooth out there, really smooth.
Will you be nervous when you come back to the lineup? Is that something that you think about, just coming back and getting that first hit or leaning on someone for the first time?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a little, a little tentativeness, but that's part of the process. I think that's why you want to get back and play, just to get through those situations and put yourself in them. And once you kind of feel it out and get more confidence, realize that it's strong and ready to go, then you're able to get back to your game much quicker.
Named your first All-Star game this season. Went to the Olympics last season. Are you finding your level of play now and confidence at no matter what level you've played at, as high as it's been?
I think so. I think that's last year. The Olympics was a big confidence booster for me. And then, like you said, just having a great summer and being able to take care of myself and put in the hard work I needed to and find another level in my game was pretty special. And I think that's why I was able this year to have such a good year so far and play so confidently.
Well, what a chance there for Patrick Berglund, set up by Porter. And now the Blues clear it down the ice. That should be an icing call. And Kevin Shattenkirk, of course, this has been a tough injury to overcome, but in your career, has this been the hardest for you as far as injuries? I know you've been fairly healthy since you came to the Blues.
Yeah, this is my first really big career injury. So, like I said, very different for me to kind of have to go through this, but, I think also to make it this long without having anything major has been pretty good, and something that, I'm still able to come back this year and play. It's been kind of refreshing knowing that I'll be able to return to the lineup and be ready and back before playoffs.
Yeah, during the best part of the season down the stretch.
I got a nice little break here while these guys got to grind it out.
Exactly. By the way, the Penguins just got a shot on goal. The first shot in almost 18 minutes of play. It's still scoreless here. There's Berglund back defending for the Blues.
Robert Bortuzzo just got away with one there. Pretty good shove there on Winnick, as number 26 for the Penguins was facing the boards. Boy, that Robert Bortuzzo, Shaddy, has really endeared himself to his new teammates, hasn't he?
He has. I think we love what he brings to the table. He's just what we needed on the back end. We needed a guy, obviously, with the right shot for this pairing, and he's someone who just has a lot of grit in his game, and it's good to see. That's what we do here. We're a hard team to play against, and I think he's fit perfectly right into our mold.
Pietrangelo.
Yeah, he got hit there. It looked like David Perron got him a little bit while Pietrangelo was in an awkward spot.
And now Crosby loses it to TJ Oshie. In the scoreless game, Pietrangelo in the slot. Backus. We try to drop it back, but the Penguins have numbers and they break it up.
That's good defensive coverage there by the Penguins. They've taken away the middle of the ice.
And now Pietrangelo again. Shaddy, what's the thing you miss most about not being around the club and not, playing in games and things like that?
I think it's just been tough to not play games. You're so used to playing, so many games every other day. The downtime has kind of been just something that's been a lot different for me. So, like I said, thankfully, Doug Armstrong has allowed me to come on some of these trips and hang around the team, and it's definitely broken it up a little bit, which is nice.
Yeah, good shot there by Martin, long distance, but good corralling that there by the goaltender Jake Allen and David Perron and Alex Pietrangelo. And you see there's their Bortuzzo on Dan Winnick there, the shift before that. Looking at Jake Allen too, I mean, no one knows better than you do, Kevin Shattenkirk, how good he is by playing the puck. And it's a big advantage when you're on the road, when you've got a goalie that can move the puck like you can.
It is, and I think it's great for defensemen when it's almost like having a third player back there. And
so you don't get run.
So you don't get run. He's able to bypass you a little bit and get pucks into the forwards' hands early. And I think for a guy like me who likes to join the rush, it's nice to try to read him and be able to jump in just that little bit earlier.
I thought you said the one thing you were going to miss was being around the broadcast.
Well, Panger, we've had some good times here together on the trip, but other than hockey, I definitely missed you guys tremendously.
That's sweet. Yeah, and Panger, growing up in New York, you saw a lot of the great John Davidson on TV, and he's done a great job analyzing things up here. Shaddy, thank you for stopping by, and hope to see you back in the lineup soon.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Kevin Shattenkirk, our guest here. No Score.
Well, Jake Allen made one heck of a save on Thomas Tatar with about 30 seconds left in regulation in the game at Joe Louis Arena. A wonderful glove save going to his left. But this play here is the one talked about. Obviously, the stick broke on the pad, and he puts the puck into the net with a broken twig. And the funny thing, if there's any humor in this whatsoever, is Abdelkader looked right at the referee because he knew what he did. And that one's almost in on the short side. As you see this battle with Winnick and McCulloch, two guys that played together in Phoenix with the then Coyotes. Now the Arizona Coyotes as McCulloch defends his net. But there's the shot there as Oshie comes in on the short side. It nearly sneaks in right there. It was a little premature side movement there by Jake Allen, not staying square to it, but he manages to keep it out. But I want to go back to the other part of it, John Kelly. Immediately on that goal that Ken Hitchcock saw with Justin Abdelkader, not only did Abdelkader look at the referee because he knew what he did, but Jay Bouwmeester looked at the referee right away and said he used a broken stick. So those are two guys that saw it. I'll be honest with you, and this is in all fairness to the officiating and the referees, at real time, that was pretty difficult to see immediately.
We go 4-on-4 here as Winnick and McCulloch get matching minors. And Darren, I'm sure a lot of people know, but if you don't, a play like that is not reviewable, although some people think every goal should be reviewed like they do in the NFL. Every scoring play.
I did speak with Colin Campbell of the NHL yesterday, and his suggestion is, well, maybe we have several situations that we bundle that can be changed from Toronto in the course of a game and call them good hockey goals to make common sense of it.
Here's Lovejoy, a drive blocked by Lindboat. As we go 4-on-4. Lovejoy again, a shot. That goes wide, comes in from Kunitz out of midair, almost tipped that in. What a play. And now Kunitz. And that came to center and then back in offside.
Linesman's right on top of that. Right on top of that. That's Don Henderson. And here's the hand-eye coordination there. Would have been a legal goal right off the post. That's terrific patience shown by Kunitz. He has to wait till that puck goes underneath the crossbar in a scoring situation. And he did so. It would have been a legitimate goal.
Blues have won the last two in this building. Last year they won 1-0. Elliott had the shutout. David Backes, the game winner.
Brian Elliott was phenomenal in that game. Absolutely phenomenal.
And now Perron races in. And his shot wide of the goal. He's missed the net a couple of times tonight. And now Laterra on for Tarasenko. And that pass tipped away. And it goes over the glass. 2015-16 season ticket packages, including fulls, halves, and 12-game packages, are on sale now. With just 10% down, you'll receive playoff purchasing priority, and with an additional commitment to the final 6 games of the season, playoff games will be discounted even further. Visit stlouisblues.com.
A good little battle going on there. Sidney Crosby and Jackman collide. Good open ice hit in the neutral zone. And afterwards, they came together again before having words out that faceoff. Once the faceoff occurred there.
And now Jackman drops it back for Bouwmeester. In the scoreless game. That comes around. Oshie tips it in front to Schwartz. Back to Oshie. And at the line, Jackman there. Takes a hit from Crosby. And again, they have words as the puck goes out of play.
Yep, Jackman's keeping that puck inside the left point right there, and Sidney Crosby's coming right at him as Jackman released it, and words continue here. These two teams don't play each other often, but boy, it is spirited. And there's Jackman's going to keep it in, and there Crosby's going to get him with a piece, and this came on the heels of this neutral zone play. Give it.
And that hit by Crosby at the line. More of a leg-on-leg kind of hit. I don't know if that upset Barrett or not, but those two guys will battle all night long.
Yes, they will.
There's 20 hits in the game already. They had 20 all night in Detroit the other day. Now the Blues off the face-off. Pietrangelo trying to get away from Letang. In front to Tarasenko. Drive right on goal. And a save by Fleury.
What a setup and a better save there by Fleury going to his left.
That's his first shot tonight. And it was a dandy. And now Sutter. Checked by Laterra. And a chance and a save by Fleury again. Tarasenko wide open. Fires it on goal. And another save by Fleury.
Oh, he got his stick slashed right out from his hands right there. And no call there as the Blues are barking at the referee there.
And now Letang goes back in his own zone. Forecheck. Steen stole it. Now Pietrangelo. Two Penguins around him.
Pietrangelo been all over on this shift. Great shift.
And now it's Winnick out of the box. He comes in front. They score! Como! It's 1-0.
Well, Dan Winnick makes a heck of a play coming out of the box. The Blues get a great scoring chance with Vladdy Tarasenko's one-timer, and then Tarasenko has another scoring chance. But here's the play out of the box right there, and Winnick holds on to it long here, holds on, and he finds Como, sneaks it through the legs there of the goaltender Jake Allen. Looked like there was no room at all. This is a heck of an effort there from Winnick. But two good scoring chances by Tarasenko. A hack stick that knocked it out of the hands that the Blues were looking for a call. And then a great play by Winnick to Como.
Como had 2 goals in the Penguins' 4-2 win. Here's another chance. Allen makes the save. Now it's in off his leg. They rule that was a goal, and it's 2-0.
Well, this has turned quickly. The best scoring chance of the game for the Blues in the offensive zone, and they turn around, and now it's a 2-0 deficit. Strong play by Spalling, keeping that puck in. Bouwmeester tried to go up the wall to Porter, and Spalling picked it off. Downey comes in front, makes a really nifty move there, and it goes off the far leg. That's why there was a little bit of a delay there, because the players thinking it was underneath the pad of goaltender Jake Allen. Instead, it goes off that right leg and squirts into the net. Downey showing some good hands right there.
2 goals in 17 seconds. As Downey gets his 13th of the year, 1st and 6. Now we have a fight. Ott and Adams. And Ott with some overhand rights. Craig Adams trying to fire back. And now Adams with some rights. Boy, they're just throwing some wild haymakers. And the linesmen jump in.
For Adams to respond in that situation, a little surprising, only because the Penguins just went up 2-0. That's the time where Ott wants to get her going for his team, but when you're up 2-0, you don't usually respond there, but Adams respects the fight, and he goes at it, and I could hear it right in front of me. The sound of the knuckles hitting the side of the helmet and the side of the face is, oh man, that's some wicked stuff.
And they'll get fighting majors. Those 2 goals in 17 seconds. Como from Winnick and Spalling. And then Downey from Spalling at 8:58. And the Blues win the faceoff. Here's Bertuzzo. Oh, she tips it in deep. Lovejoy wheels it around. Off the boards and now walked along by Crosby with some speed. This pass back, tipped away O'Keefe. Then he goes to the corner against Winnick. Now Perron, a drive and a save by Allen. He was bumped a bit after the save. then Jackman slides it ahead for Steen. It's Steen and Oshie into the zone. And Steen's shot blocked. Back is back to the Bulls. Can't get it there in time. And the Penguins play it on the wing to Crosby. Chips it ahead. And that's broken up by Pietrangelo. And then Ben Lovejoy across the red line. And that goes to the corner. Taken by Lindbohm. And then Pietrangelo. And Letang back in his own zone for the Penguins. And now Kunitz. We'll just get back to break that up. Kunitz again. As we are now past the 10-minute mark of the second period. 2 goals in 17 seconds from Como and Downey. Tarasenko tried to make a pass, broken up. And here's Kunitz again. He'll drop it off for Sutter. Sutter drifts in. Puck in front. And knocked away by Pietrangelo. Tarasenko now to center. Nice pass to Schwartz. With Pietrangelo. Trying to slide it through, and a save by Fleury. And now the Penguins the other way. It's Letang to Kunitz. And Tarasenko got back to break it up.
Tarasenko started that with a real good backhand pass right on the tape to get out of the zone. And now there's going to be a minor penalty for high sticking on Tarasenko.
And he will go off. Penguins up by 2 here in the second.
On a 0-0 hockey game, the Blues have their first bit of sustained pressure. Tarasenko has a number of good quality scoring chances, and this is the second one here, and he just lets one rip, and then as he goes for the rebound, he gets that hand slashed there by Blake Como. Stick gets knocked out of his hand, and then obviously the Penguins go to score the other way. Here's the high stick and back over to the right. He gets his stick up right there, and it was hard to tell from that angle whether or not it clipped Kunitz. I did watch Kunitz go back to the bench, and the referee was asking him if he got hit up high, and he said no. And if it was touched, nope.
Yet through a high-sticking minor on the play. Penguins 0 for 1 tonight. Backus dumps it in from center. Now the Penguins to center for Crosby. Pittsburgh in 2 games against the Blues. 1 for 4 on the power play. That's almost picked off by Backus. And now the Penguins go back. And number 51, Derek Pouliot. First rounder in 2012. Stretch past to Kunitz, and he could not stay on side. And a whistle. Sunday history will be made in Martinsville as the first ever NASCAR Sprint Cup points race will be broadcast on Fox Sports 1. Kurt Busch will look to defend his title from last season in the first short track race of the season. Coverage begins Sunday at 10:30 a.m. only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. So a big kill for the Blues here, down by 2. Pouliot now to Perron. And then worked in deep by Letang. Letang gets it again to Pouliot. Pouliot in the circle. And a shot got through. And a save, it's loose. And it is taken by Oshie. And lobbed high down the ice. And a bouncer on goal. Fleury sets it up.
Yeah, good save on the sharp angle there by Jake Allen.
Now Kunitz in against Pietrangelo. Nice play by Pietrangelo to Berglund. And he puts it off the near boards. And in behind the Pittsburgh goal. Now with 45 left in the Penguin power play. Penguins to center ice. Sutter. Good stick there by Berglund. And that slowed up the play, and it puts it offside.
Well, young defenseman Pouliot moving in from the left side now on the bottom left, and he's going to get in there with that sharp angle shot. Kunitz is right there on the doorstep. Kunitz trying to use his skate to knock that free. David Perron's there as well. He's hacking and whacking looking for that loose puck, but Stassi's in a good position. The Blues are able to clear with a high flipper there from Oshie.
Now the Penguins off the face-off. This is Ian Cole, a shot way high off the glass and back into Penguin ice. And now Paul Martin for Cole. Almost gave it up to Backus. And then Sutter drops it back for Cole. He has not scored a goal so far in Pittsburgh. Has 1 assist so far. since his deadline deal from St. Louis. Now Cole gets it from Martin. And then Sutter into the zone. Laterra there. Ahead. Schwartz was cherry-picking a bit. And it bounced over his stick.
Well, Ian Cole was trying to get off for a line change until he saw Schwartz darts by him. So he wisely stayed on the ice.
Tarasenko is back. The Penguins 0 for 2. They had one shot on that power play. This is broken up by Schwartz. Now for Tarasenko. And he delays against Scuderi. And then for Laterra. Trying to work to the corner. Broken up there by Cole. And his pass to center ice for Lapierre. And he cuts to the middle, but Spalling was in on right wing. That's an offside.
Well, the Blues got to get back into this hockey and play and get those kind of chances that they had just prior to that goal by Blake Comeau. And then, of course, 17 seconds later, Downey scored to make it 2-0. But the one thing about Marc-Andre Fleury is his good legs and athleticism down low. You got to keep firing pucks at him and drive hard to the net for rebound.
And from the faceoff, it comes ahead to Berglund. He does muscle the puck to center ice. Berglund on with Stastny and Porter. And now Scuderi at his own line. For Lovejoy. He puts it in off the glass. That bounces around. Tipped in deep by Winnick. And now Perron there for Crosby. This pass to the line. Barely kept in by Scuderi. A shot. Hit a leg in front. And now Chris Porter for Pietrangelo. And then a hit at the line by Porter. And it ends up in behind the Penguin goal.
That was a good hit there by Crosby. Leaned right into Porter as Porter dumped that puck in. And keep in mind that to begin this hockey game, the Pittsburgh Penguins dressed 11 forwards and 7 D.
But Ehrhoff has not returned.
No.
Now it's Lapierre. And a little toe drag move on Jackman. Almost got by him. And now the former Blue Lapierre up the middle. No one is there except for Oshie. His pass collected by Steen. To Backes. In on goal, a shot. Fleury the save. And it's still loose. Another chance. Another shot blocked by the Penguins. Now Bertuzzo. He scores! The former Penguin is first as a Blue. Robert Bertuzzo.
Just let it rip. This puck was close to being blown down with Fleury making a number of saves. As I said, he's good down low. He's got great athleticism, but the Blues kept poking away at this puck. And while it squirts out to the right point, Robert Bortuzzo, the former Penguin, started his career here in Pittsburgh, and Armada drive to the net. The puck is loose. Look at the jamming down low. And then even Jackman is down low, Bortuzzo's partner. Bortuzzo just lets it rip, and it has eyes. You can hear it. Off the pipe and in. And the big fella they call Bob celebrates with his Blues teammates.
First goal as a Blue, third of the year. It's his first goal in 39 games. And the 3 goals, now a career high for the man they call Big Bob. And Darren, that is a big goal to get the Blues back in the game.
Well, it all starts, too, with a very good pass just inside the Blues blue line from TJ Oshie. He just feathers this little heel-to-toe saucer pass right in front of me, about 6 inches off the ice, flat, right to Alexander Steen, who's able to get into the zone. From that point on, Steen didn't shoot the puck. He dropped it back to Backes, and that started the havoc in front of the goaltender.
And now off the face-off, Cole gets the puck to center ice. It's settled by Tarasenko. Now McCulloch for Laterra. Tips it back to the goal. Now Fleury to the corner for Cole. And out of midair, Tarasenko knocks it down but can't hold it in. And it rolls back to the Blues line. McCulloch now for Schwartz. And he goes deeper in his own zone. Bertuzzo gets the goal from Oshie and Jackman to get the Blues within 1. Here they come again in front, Schwartz. And then Bouwmeester is robbed by Fleury. Another chance. And Bouwmeester right on goal. And Fleury has that answer as well. So first Bertuzzo, and then Big Bo almost ties the game.
Stars back with you inside our Fox Sports Midwest live studio at Ballpark Village. Blues trail the Pens now 2-1 with 4:20 to go in the second period in Pittsburgh. Coming up, it's a Jack in the Box intermission report with highlights of 2 periods. Plus, Bernie breaks down this wild second period and a rapid race around the rest of the league, all coming up at intermission. John, Darren, back to you.
Well, the big fella, former 78th overall pick in 2007 in his 122nd career NHL game. We remember the first goal he scored like it was yesterday. John?
Against a pretty good goaltender.
And we are going to get to that.
We'll keep you in suspense. He has scored here at 14:52 to cut the Penguin lead to 2-1. Now the Penguins to center ice. Adams rolls it in.
A great gap closure there by Lindholm, though. Continues to impress in his closure of all 3 zones.
And Lindholm plays it around. Pietrangelo up the wing now for Stastny. And then Lindholm carries the mail across the red line. Chips it in. Bounces at the line. Pietrangelo can't get it. And now thrown the other way by Nick Spaulding.
Well, they called that one off right there.
Here's Oshie for Pietrangelo. And trying to sneak down the boards. That was intercepted. Winnick the other way now for Perron. In with Crosby. Drop pass for Cole. And a shot. And that was off a body wide. And now center to Cole. Lost it. And the Blues break it up and it comes to center ice. And Oshie against Perron. Into Crosby. In on goal. And Allen makes the save on Sid Crosby.
Crosby still has no goal against the St. Louis Blues in his career. Only his 7th game. He's got 1 assist. He now has 31 shots. And there is Marty Brodeur on this road trip and the future Hall of Famer. And Robert Bortuzzo, if you're going to score your first goal against someone, it might as well be against the winningest goaltender ever. And this one gets underneath the pad through traffic, but it's a howitzer by Robert Bortuzzo. Just a howitzer. And there he is on the bench just over here to my left. Big goal here for the Blues to get them back into this hockey game.
Now a race to the puck. Marcel Goc against Cole. Cole leaves it. Now Ott comes in. He steals it. Here's Ott in front to McCulloch. And his drive was blocked in front off the leg of Bo Bennett. Now Ott again. A great chance. Rebound to Reeves. And another great save by Fleury on Reeves. Those are really coming on here. Now Ott wins the battle. In front to Reeves. Another chance. They score! Goc! Unbelievable! Another former Penguin ties the game.
Incredible. When does that happen? 2 former members of the opposition, and they bang home 2 goals back-to-back, and Goc has got the Blues tied at 2. What a shift, though. Ryan Reeves all over the place. On his knees, gets a good chance. Battles Lapierre, the former Blue. Ott wins the battle against the former Blue, Cole. And then Reeves goes to the front of the net. Just a lot of 1 battles here. And Goc ends up in the high slot area as Marc-Andre Fleury gets tripped up there by Ryan Reeves. Fleury went over to the referee trying to plead his case, but no biting on the referee's point. But again, those are 2 or 3 1 battles separating the man from the puck that lead to that goal.
So Goc is first as a Blue, first in 27 games. And the Blues got 2 goals in a span of 2:32 from 2 former Penguins. Bortuzzo and Goc. So it's 2-2.
Penguins scored 2 in 17 seconds. It's been a common thread here.
Reeves and Ott get the assist on that goal by Goc. So we've got a brand new game here in Pittsburgh. Now stolen. And a backhander by Kunitz blocked. And then the Blues send it back the other way. Here's Martin. At his own line for Letang. And now on for Kunitz. Off the glove of Laterra. And then Jackman back. Quickly up on the right wing now to Tarasenko. Nice pass for Ott. 4 Penguins are around him, so he makes the smart play, dumps it in. And then Ott goes on the attack, but the Penguins to center. And it's Perron 3-on-2 to Crosby. Back in front. Oh, what a save by Jake Allen on David Perron.
Holy jumping.
Just robbed him.
He just got the 1 knee down and the left pad up high.
This is a move you've seen from guys like Marty Brodeur, and recently you see a guy like Jonathan Quick pull that old school save off like that. What a read, knowing it's a right-hand shot, knowing he's going to go high to the glove side. I can imagine, I would think that that's what Jake Allen was doing, is covering all the bases, taking the percentages away.
What a save there on Perron. Now the Blues 2-on-2. It is Backes. Puts it off the boards to himself. Now hooks one for Oshie. Nice work down low. A stick came up. And it's going to be against the Blues again. Maybe the stick came up on Pouliot. Here's Crosby on this delayed penalty. And then Perron a shot. Blocked. And now it's touched by Backes. And now Ott's involved with David Perron. They've had a running battle tonight. But it looks like the Blues will get another high-sticking minor.
In the offensive zone to the left of Marc-Andre Fleury. Always baffling when every player on the ice is looking around to see who the penalty's called against. But I think it's a high-sticking call on TJ Oshie. He gets one hand on his stick. I don't believe that was the sequence. I believe it was just earlier than that.
Yeah, I think it was back in the corner, Darren.
Exactly. Yeah, right here. Right here. One hand on his stick, and it comes up there, and it just gets draped on the shoulder there of Pouliot, and that was the call.
Penguins 0 for 2 with one shot. Face-off won by Stastny. Crosby wasn't ready for it. And now McCulloch away. Up for Gotch. And he rips it off the far boards and down the ice. 50 seconds left in this second period. It's been an eventful second. 2 goals apiece. This is Derek Pouliot. Ends up back of the goal. Letang tracks it down. 2 Blues around him. Now Perron trying to center one. And now Perron to the line. Picked off by Schwartz. And he gets it by Letang on the left point.
From my angle, Letang almost got it with a kick save and a beauty there along the board.
Up past the Kunitz. Ends up in behind the Blues goal. And McCulloch rolls it ahead for Schwartz. Trying to wiggle away from his check. Now it comes straight. Pouliot across. Here's Crosby in front. And Letang can't pull the trigger. And Pouliot a drive. Blocked at the buzzer by Allen. And we have played 2 in Pittsburgh.
Well, Crosby had a chance to fire that puck as the clock was winding down at the end of 2. And he wanted to make that play to the middle of the ice. I think the best opportunity was Sidney firing that puck right away. Crosby was robbed earlier. A key save just before Bortuzzo scored to make it 2-1. Jake Allen robbed Crosby.
The Blues outshoot the Penguins 14-12 in the second. They fall behind by 2, but come back and we're tied at 2. We have played 2 periods of hockey here at Consol Energy Center, and the Blues and Penguins are tied at 2. And John Kelly back in the broadcast booth, and my partner Darren Pang is down between the benches, and the Penguins jumped out to a 2-0 lead, Darren, as you know, but Steve Ott had a fight right after that second goal, and it seemed to spark the Blues, and they came back and tied it.
You know, at the time, I wondered why Adams would even accept that fight up 2-0, and it really helped spur on the bench, the energy level, the we're not going away easily kind of attitude that Steve Ott always brings to the table. That's why it's our JimButlerChevrolet.com powerhouse plays. And then there was that save there on Sidney Crosby, who has yet to score a goal in his career against the Blues. You've got to give the Blues a lot of credit. And the referee, Dan O'Halloran was the referee there. He came to the front of the net to see if that puck was still loose instead of just prematurely blowing it dead. And it ends up being a loose puck and a goal. And then a powerful move by both Ott and Reeves coming out of the corner. And Steve Ott eliminating Ian Cole from the puck, did a great job of separating Cole, kept it alive. Ryan Reeves bangs it home, and he has a slight collision after getting the first attempt at the goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury. Also in that period, Sidney Crosby battling it with everybody. This has been a competitive, spirited game.
Blues hockey is sponsored by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. Penguins on the power play for 53 seconds. Oshie in the box. Penguins dump it in. Wide of the goal. Now Jackman back there. Letang centers it. Back of the line. It's David Perron. Now across for Crosby. Crosby gets it back. To Letang. Now a shot. And where is it? It hit Allen, I believe, up high, and then bounces down, and he has it.
Yeah, hit a body in front, and so Allen was actually upright. He was upright looking for that puck going up high, and it ends up getting knocked down going low.
Well, here's tonight's BMO Harris Bank Twit pick of the game. And we think at Imez for that picture. And to get your picture on an upcoming game, simply tweet a picture of you and your sign to hashtag BMO Blue Sign Contest. Blues short-handed. Here comes Bouwmeester. And he dumps it in. The Blues went tied after 2 this year, 11-7-1. The Penguins are 11-5-4 when even after 40.
10 seconds.
Letang gets it in.
Yeah, 10 seconds left on the TJ Oshie minor penalty.
And again, the Blues kill some more time and play it down the ice.
Strong on the penalty kill. The Penguins now 0 for 3 with the man advantage. They had 1 full minute with fresh ice here to begin the third period.
And only 2 shots total on those 3 power plays. The Blues have yet to have a power play. As Allen chips one to the corner to Lindholm. Now on to Schwartz. And then Pietrangelo wanders in there. His shot. And that is taken right on the chest by Fleury, and we get a whistle.
Good pass by Jaden Schwartz. A nice heel-to-toe saucer pass that allows the weak side defenseman Alex Pietrangelo to jump into the play. Pietrangelo clearly playing his best hockey, making good decisions on his toes. And there's that pass right to the open space. If you're going to flood one area of the ice, you know your weak side defenseman has got to jump into the play to alleviate some of that pressure.
Off the face-off, it comes to Tarasenko, back to Lindholm. And his drive, and a save by Fleury, and no rebound with Schwartz right there.
A good pass by Tarasenko. He rips that puck over to Petteri Lindholm to the left point right there. And then with traffic in front of the net, Marc-Andre Fleury's got to really battle it there. And Marc-Andre Fleury not only makes the save, but he ends up covering the rebound as well. Lindholm just hesitates ever so slightly. Might have glanced off Lovejoy's leg as well before Marc-Andre Fleury can stop that.
Blues have won 53% of the draws tonight. Laterra digs against Lapierre. Lapierre gets it. And it's played to center ice. Now recovered by Laterra for Pietrangelo. Now Tarasenko trying to hit Laterra. And that was behind him. It goes down the ice. And that's an icing call.
Gives us a chance for our Kia in the driver's seat. You always want your goaltender driving the car anyway. He's your leader out there, quarterback, and there's Marc-Andre Fleury. That's career best right there. That 2.21, it's minusculish. 92% of the shots he has stopped. His general manager, Jim Rutherford, rewarded him with a long-term contract.
And a shot from the corner, fought off by Allen. The Blues throw one to center ice, and they make a quick change here. And now Chris Letang for Perron. And that pass across, and then gathered in by Crosby. And that's tipped out of midair by Oshie. Nice hands there. Now in for Steen. He comes in a high drive and a hot drive. Off the shoulder, I believe, of Fleury and out of play.
I think he was trying to get Fleury to cheat, maybe anticipating with that kind of center lane drive there by David Backes and Oshie. You can see Oshie's on the far side, and Steen just rips this one, trying to go high to the blocker side. And Fleury got it with his right shoulder, and you can see how it just jumped off the chest and shoulder protector there of Fleury into the netting.
And now Steen in the face-off circle. Lapierre controls it and walked along by Nick Spaulding. Swatted to the corner by Allen. Now Backes quickly on for Oshie with Steen. Oshie pulls up on the boards against Pouliot. Now Pouliot checked down there by Steen.
Good stick work by Pouliot on Oshie.
And now it comes free to the near side for Ben Lovejoy. He gets it by Stastny to center ice. And Zbynek McCulloch. Will another former Penguin score tonight for the Blues? You never know. On to Ott. He gets it from Stastny. Hot shot. And a pad save by Fleury. Well, have you purchased your Blues Hall of Fame Plaza Memorial brick yet? Packages start at $165 and include a free replica brick, a memorable keepsake to celebrate your devotion to the Blue Note. Don't miss your chance to become part of Blues history. Go to stlouisblues.com/Blues Plaza to purchase your brick today. Face-off one back to Jackman, a shot. Well wide. Number Tuzo can't hold it in. Then Patrick Berglund back to get it. And off the boards intended for Steve Ott. And now Ott trying to push it ahead. The Penguins have it. Blake Comeau. And that puck goes into the blue zone. Bertuzzo chased back to the goal. And now knocked down by Comeau. To the near side. Ott comes in.
Ott's had a spirited game here. He gets moved up to this line with Stastny and Berglund.
And now Ott gets it back to the goal. Sutter comes along. And that's broken up by Jackman. Not cleared. And slides back for Cole. He'll push one back to the net again. And now Stastny on the board. Good job to get it away from Scuderi. And on from center ice. Into the glove of Fleury. Blues making a change on the fly.
And all that being said, I thought Chris Porter played his role as you would expect him to play it, with energy. Got in on the forecheck, finished his checks in that second period. A couple of good battles there with Kunitz.
And now Porter's on with Gotch and Reeves. Gotch's shot. That was blocked at the defense. And now Gotch again. Here's Porter down low along with Gotch. Crosby defense. And a pass hit a skate. Lovejoy for Cole. And he puts one to center ice. And Pietrangelo pounded from behind by Perron. And now it's Pietrangelo through his legs. Nice play for Porter, who lobs one to center ice. And Reeves trying to get there, but Pouliot, he'll twist one back to Lovejoy.
It was a savvy little play in his own zone by Alex Pietrangelo. A hard battle in the corner. Got to keep moving your skates. And David Perron was good on the forecheck on that last one.
And then dumped in from center ice by Spaulding. And played deeper by Lapierre. 5 minutes gone, third period, tied at 2. And now Letang and it blocked by Schwartz. And the Blues to center ice. It's Laterra. Slowed up by Spaulding. And then in the corner, Laterra tried to break it up, but the Penguins have it. And Craig Adams to the Blues line. And that goes deep. Gene Bouwmeester takes the hit. Puck comes in front. And Laterra clears not out. Now Lapierre into Kunitz. And his pass back. Lapierre again. Works down the boards on Laterra. And now in front. Off the stick of McCulloch. And then the Blues try to get it. Letang centers it. Finally broke it up. And now Tarasenko for Schwartz. And he's been on the ice for a long time. Puts it in on goal. Handled by Fleury. And the Backes line back on the ice. Backes has led the Blues with 4 shots in this game. Penguins to center. That's coughed up. Steen rifles it back behind the goal. Well, Martin plays it around to Kunitz.
Big pinch.
And at the line, it does roll to center. And now recovered by the captain.
That was a good read there by Robert Bortuzzo. Got in there real deep in the offensive zone.
And Jackman's drive from center ice. Handled there by Fleury. And into the corner. Lovejoy gets it out. Jackman stands up and now plays it back to the Penguin line. Here's Pouliot around to Sutter. On for Steve Downing. And 4 players congregate near the Blues bench. Oshie goes down. Puck comes free. And Crosby darts in for Pittsburgh. To the backhand. And a great stick by Pietrangelo.
Stealth-like. Good read right there.
And now Downey at the line. Sends it back to the goal. Tipped by Crosby. Now Bennett is over there, but he is canceled by Pietrangelo, and Berglund gets it out. Non-stop action here in the third period. Tied at 2. Bertuzzo and Gotch for the Blues. Como and Downey for the Penguins. And a pass by Pouliot. Now for Perron, and then back to Pouliot. Now it's Ian Cole. Into Perron. Nice move through a seam. And a backhander. And another great stick there by Pietrangelo. And the puck off the glass. Taken by Tarasenko. 3-on-2 now into Schwartz. To Tarasenko. And some back pressure knocks it away from him. And the Penguins break up that 3-on-2. And now the puck to center ice. Here's Bouwmeester stepping up. To Schwartz. Drop pass. McCulloch now to Schwartz. And a long wrister from the boards is handled easily by Fleury. Under 12 to play in the third. 2-2 the score.
Automotive Group Sports Update time. Red Hot Wild on Long Island tonight, but it's a late first period goal by John Tavares, giving the Islanders a 1-0 lead. Tavares now tied with Sidney Crosby for the points lead. Minnesota's 9-game road winning streak in jeopardy, down 1-0 midway through the third. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Pat. As the Blues lead the Central by 1 point. Nashville currently tied at home with Montreal 1-1. That's in the second. Here it's 2-2 in the third. Blues win the faceoff. Oshie. And that pass off a stick out of play.
Now Oshie was trying to find that guy, Alex Pietrangelo, on the right point, but prior to that, this is that depth play right here. What a terrific stick as Crosby tried to change his speed there. And again, right after that, David Perron breaks in on the 1-on-4. Looks like he's got an open shot to the backhand, but good stick work there by Pietrangelo.
Now the Blues again a face-off win. Oshie. Here's Steen. Works down low, trying to kick it into open space. Now back to Backes. And then Pietrangelo. He'll throw one back of the goal for Steen. Steen, one hand on the stick. Now in front. And finally had it stripped by Kunitz. And then Kunitz gets it by Lindholm. Pietrangelo there, lost it. And a shot on goal. And they bang away, and a couple of saves by Allen. And the Blues with it back to center. Here's Backes. Oh, Lindholm drilled by Lovejoy.
Good hit there by Lovejoy.
And on a big hit. Turnover, Stastny. And it's past to Berglund, tipped away. And now Berglund throws it back to the goal. Stastny knocked down. Here comes Lindholm. And he battles against Crosby. And then Berglund's pass hit a skate, and the Penguins take over. And that is lobbed down the ice by Como. Bouwmeester back there along with Berglund. It comes in front, and a shot was tipped high. As Perron let it go. And now Berglund on the boards. And off the glass and out. And they're going to rule that was out of play and bring the face-off back in the Blues end.
Close call there by David Perron, who's got a wicked wrist shot. Dan Winnick's had a strong game. This goes off the pad, and there's the shot. Crosby's in front, but before that, Lindholm trying to get that puck in deep, and he gets hit hard right there by Lovejoy. And there's that play right in tight. That's a very alert play by the goaltender. That's a hot potato right in front. You cannot take it for granted. And he's got that left pad nice and tight against the post and down sealed against the ice.
Laterra's toss, so Schwartz will take it against Crosby. And Schwartz wins it easily. And then fired around by Bouwmeester. Now Laterra trying to hit Tarasenko. Ends up back in the blue zone. Crosby digs in against McCulloch. And now it comes free for Winnick. Winnick trying to get free. And he looks around. Pass to the line. Latanga drive and a pass saved by Allen.
What a beauty.
He was 10 feet out of the net. Now 2-on-1. Tarasenko and Laterra. Tarasenko in. Great move. Backhander. And that goes wide. Then it comes around. Kept in. Bertuzzo. The drive. On goal. A save by Fleury. And then Schwartz stopped on the rebound.
Oh, good save with his right pad. After Bertuzzo does a nice job of getting that through.
And that's gloved down by Jackman. Walked along by Bertuzzo. And a backhander. Off a stick to the corner. Laterra there. Or rather Porter. Entangled with Lapierre. And the Penguins get it to center ice with 9:30 left in the third period. And Bertuzzo, the first man back for the Blues. Can't move it ahead. Now back to the goal for Gotch. Now Bertuzzo again. Porter at the line. Can't get it. And Jackman tries. He goes the other way. And finally Ryan Reeves chips it, and it comes to center ice.
That's a good read there by Ryan Reeves. He knew he had to get to that the boards as soon as possible after it's wrapped around by Jackman, and he does his job. Gets it out of the zone.
And to Terry Lindbohm now for Jackman. Long pass in the area of Oshie. That bounces by him. No icing here. And then Pouliot plays it up the boards, where it's taken by Kunitz. And now on to Como. He cuts in. And a rebound attempt, and Allen made that save as well on Sutter.
Wow! Some spectacular saves by Jake Allen, playing the Penguins for the first time in his career. He's been on fire. Well, great scoring chances by both these players. Vladdy Tarasenko with 35 goals and 35 helpers on the year. Letang tries to go to the glove side, and Jake Allen reads that play, leaning one way and getting his left leg out the other. Vladdy Tarasenko goes inside, outside. Thanks for coming, and gets a backhander. Just misses on the glove side.
And now the Blues win the faceoff. Played on for Steen. Now moved in by Pietrangelo, whose uncle Frank played for the Penguins as a goaltender, and that goes out of play.
Yes, Frank wore number 40 here for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and back then they called him Frank Pietrangelo. And as Alex has explained to us, that his uncle Frank just never told anybody that it's actually Pietrangelo. And I remember breaking in with Frank. Played a lot of hockey against him, whether Muskegon of the IHL or Pittsburgh of the NHL.
Huge face-off here. Stastny against Lapierre. Lapierre, or Stastny wanted the puck to center, though. And now dumped in by Spaulding. Lindbohm for the Blues. Now comes three. Downey a pass in front. And a shot. Downey. And that went off a skate and never got on goal. And then Lindbohm up the wing now for Berglund. Here's Berglund with off. And a little wrister by Berglund trying to get his rebound. And now they battle for it. Lovejoy had his stick lifted by Stastny. All three Blues forwards on the boards here. And now Lapierre trying to work it away. He can't. Lovejoy goes the other way for Pouliot. And the puck to center ice. And Bouwmeester, his pass hit a stick. And the Penguins have possession now into Downey. Penguins in the midst of a line change. He gets the puck in deep for Winnick. And then Winnick trying to get the puck to the line. Picked off by Ott.
Good defense there around Winnick. Winnick's been very, very effective in this game. Scored his first goal as a member of the Penguins, game winner in Arizona against his former club a few years ago.
Now the Blues commit Laterra drop pass. That was picked off by Crosby. And he flies in with Letang. And then Winnick a shot. Tipped by a Blue stick high, and it comes around, and Schwartz tips it out.
Ooh, that's not an area for a drop pass, just inside the offensive blue line there by Laterra.
And now Perron feeds Kunitz. All the way around the goal, back to Letang. And now Perron a pass in front, off a stick. And Tarasenko was there, but couldn't get it.
He was leaning in, trying to hit Kunitz, who just ducked out of the way.
Now Perron in front, and a shot. Fanned on by Kunitz. And then Pietrangelo for Lindbohm. And the Blues exit the zone. Here's Schwartz, and he gets across the red line, and he goes off on a line change. With 6:25 left in regulation time. Tied at 2. Penguins led 2-zip, but the Blues tied it on goals from Bertuzzo and Gotch in the second. Now Bertuzzo. And around to Steen. Shovels it ahead to Jackman. And an off goal stick ends up back of the goal. Chipped by Scuderi, kept in by Bertuzzo. And that goes wide. Here's Oshie on the forecheck against Cole. Cole heads back to the goal. Now plays one to the near side. Backus comes in. And Jackman pinches in and holds it in.
Good support there. Jackman stayed in there because of the aggressiveness of David Backus.
Cole, a clearing attempt knocked down by Bertuzzo. And the puck finally fired out by Sutter. Blues get it back. Here's Gotch. He's got some room for Reeves. A drive, and that was blocked by Sutter. And that goes out of play. 5:31 left in the third period. Blues and Penguins tied at 2.
Well, for Jake Allen and any goaltender out there, you've got to continue to battle and give your team an opportunity to slide back into the game. It's a 2-0 game with quick goals by the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he held the fort. Held the fort. If it gets to 3-0, obviously a tough mountain to climb, but he came up with a lot of very, very good saves, scrambling saves, as you saw right there in the early parts of the third period. Backhand attempt, rebound in front, and also some good protection, but he has made some significant saves in this game.
Blues have outshot the Penguins 32-24 tonight. Here come the Penguins. Downey can't get it by Bouwmeester. Now it goes back to the goal. McCulloch, far side, Reeves tips it, and a good play to get it out now for Gotch. And off the boards and in. Corner the first player there. And now Gotch against his former club. Now Cole trying to clear it. Corner plays it around the boards. McCulloch pinching here. And he holds it in.
Good read by McCulloch because Ryan Reeves had backed him up. This is a very, very good shift by the fourth line.
And now Gotch, the Penguin player, lost his stick there. But it comes in front for Scuderi. And the Penguins to center ice. He can't get it by Bouwmeester. Now on for Ott. It was a goal away from the Gordie Howe hat trick. On the wall for Stastny. Funnels one back of the goal. And now Pietrangelo comes in. Good read. He gets it. Now Pietrangelo a shot off the back of the goal. And taken by Winnick. Clear it up the board. Berglund there to hold it in. And now Letang backpedaling in his own zone with 4:15 to go in the third period.
It's good to see Steve Ott getting rewarded for his play as well. And moving up there, up the lineup a little bit, getting a little bit more ice time and responsibility.
Now the puck played back on the Blues goal. Here's Crosby off the boards and off the back of the goal. Now broken up by Pietrangelo. And then Steen backhanded. Clears the puck to center ice. And then dumped back in by Lovejoy. Here's Steen again. And he gets across the red line. Now for Oshie off his skate. He comes in, twisting and can't get a shot. But wins the battle down low now for Steen. Plays one around the far side. Laterra on the ice. And he's canceled, kept in. Bertuzzo, the shot. And that was off a body in front. And then Jackman. In deep, Oshie, reverse hit on Lovejoy. Oshie's stick, Lovejoy's stick broke. And the puck grabbed by Sutter. And Sutter to center ice. The son of former NHLer Brent Sutter. Now to the corner for Kunitz. Trying to roll off his check from Bertuzzo.
Good job by Bertuzzo. One-on-one against a tough player to defend against. Kunitz is not that big in stature, but feisty, and Bertuzzo ran him off the puck and won the battle.
And now Jackman at the Penguin line. Here's Schwartz. In for Stastny. Gets around a Penguin. And a shot and a save by Fleury. What a chance there for Stastny. And the Penguins the other way. Into Lapierre, and it's just offside with 2:45 left.
And Stastny jumps in there with Tarasenko and Schwartz. A good play there as Stastny goes on the outside, pushes the puck to the inside against Letang and gets a good shot on goal there. Good pad save down low by Marc-Andre Fleury.
And Stastny stays out there now with Ott. Then Berglund with 2:45 left. And the face-off controlled by the Blues. And McCulloch up the wing to Berglund. He gets a piece of that one. Ian Cole back. And his pass to Winnick. Blues get it back at center. Hammered around by McCulloch. And now Cole chased by Berglund. And a good job by Cole to get the puck down the ice. Off a Blues player. Bouwmeester there. Pucks one to the corner. Winnick gets it. Now Winnick on the cycle for Perron. Trying to get away from his men. Chased back to the goal by Bouwmeester. Now watched by McCulloch. On the line to drive and a save by Allen. Rebound shot high by Crosby.
How did he miss there?
On the backhand, he shot it way too high. The Blues clear it down the ice. No icing. And both teams make changes. Now the Penguins to center ice and Como. He goes wide. And shoots it around the boards. Kunitz stops it. Now for Como, back of the goal, broken up by Pietrangelo. And the puck at the line, not out. And now tipped away by Backus. And here's Steen on a loose puck at center ice. Steen curls to Pietrangelo. And his stick was lifted, and the Penguins get the puck to center ice. And the Blues don't wait long enough. Pietrangelo was trapped in offside.
Well, late in this hockey game, Sidney Crosby has a chance to put the Penguins up 3-2. Winnick in front of the net. The rebound's there. And as we've mentioned before, very little curve on his stick. He's good on the backhander. He just gets too much of this. And hoisted, and whether it glanced ever so slightly off that right shoulder of Allen's going down, hard to determine there. So 9 games career-wise against the Blues and 5 helpers.
1:15 left in regulation time. And the puck at center ice, McCulloch. Schwartz there as well. And now the Penguins with it, and that's dumped in by Spaulding. And Bouwmeester tracked back to the goal by Spaulding, gets the puck to center ice. In the final minute here in the third period. And Jake Allen puts it hard on the glass and all the way down the ice. And they're going to say icing against the Blues.
Oh boy, the Blues do not like that call whatsoever. And you don't often hear Ken Hitchcock bark, but he's not happy with this one.
Well, Cardinal spring training coverage continues on Fox Sports Midwest. We'll have more live games this week as the Cards take on the Nationals tomorrow, the Marlins on Thursday, and the Mets on Friday. Cardinal spring training is right here on Fox Sports Midwest.
Goaltender Jake Allen played that puck around the glass. There was a pinch in down low, and that's why the Blues argued that icing call.
And now Steen wins the faceoff. And a big collision back to the goal. McCulloch went down.
He went down hard.
Now Oshie with it. And the Blues to center. Steen up the middle, trying to split a seam in the Penguin defense. He can't. And Perron races in. And now throws it right through the slot. Swatted back to the goal by Winnick. Jackman ahead to David Backus. And now in the final 20 seconds, number 20, Steen gets it into Backus, and he can't get in for a shot. And here comes Crosby. And he waits. Drops it. And then Como doesn't shoot it. Now Como does on goal. And a save by Allen, and we will go to overtime.
Tenacious back checking though by Patrick Berglund. He put pressure on the puck carrier. Otherwise it's a free shot from the outside.
So for the second straight game, the Blues go to overtime, tied at 2 after 60. Overtime is brought to you by JimButlerChevrolet.com, St. Louis's top-selling Chevy dealer, because they do the deals the other guys just won't. Jim Butler is the Chevy powerhouse. And JimButlerChevrolet.com presents our overtime records. The Blues 13-7, the Penguins 9-10. As the Blues go to overtime for the third time in their last 4 games.
Well, with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen dressed and Ehrhoff leaving the game, a lot more ice time for Sidney Crosby that's played nearly 25 minutes in this hockey game. And as Ken Hitchcock has often described, this 2-time Olympic gold winner, he's a bullet-trained centerman, and you've got to be careful. Steen made a pass just before time expired up to David Backus across the Penguins' blue line, and it gets stopped, and sure enough, in a split second, there goes Sidney Crosby the other way.
So the Blues have at least a point, and points in 5 of 6 games on this road trip. But they would love another point tonight.
Crosby goes back, gives his goalie Fleury a tap on the pads, and we are ready to go.
Blues outshot the Penguins 12-11 in the third. Steen and Backus begin things up front. Crosby and Perron for the Penguins. This is played back to Pouliot. And then rifled in by Lovejoy. And then Bouwmeester takes out Crosby. Blues get the puck, and here's Steen with some room at center ice. Steen delays. Now a shot and a pad save by Fleury. There's the Penguins backed in a bit there.
Yeah, it was a good play there, good communication by Steen to Backus. He told Backus to cut, and so he walked the line, and that allowed a little more room.
And a drive to score! Steen tips it in! And a winner for the Blues as Steen scores 35 seconds in, and the Blues win 3-2.
All good communication.
hesitation through the neutral zone as Steen right in front of me, John Kelly, is yelling at Backes ahead of him to cut. So Backes goes back to the right across the blue line and allows Steen to gain the zone. And wouldn't you know it, another former Pittsburgh Penguin, Zbynek McCulloch, with the shot from the right point, and then Steen right on the doorstep deflects it home. But give that young man plenty of credit. His first career win against the Pittsburgh Penguins and Sidney Crosby. Jake Allen battled hard in this game, down 2-0, and the Blues give them credit. A tough road trip. They end this road trip 3-1-2 now with this overtime goal. So here's the play. At this point, he's saying cut. So there goes Backes to the right, and the first shot just barely gets through, and a nice little hesitation move by Steen on the corner boards with Lovejoy. 2-on-2 battle. The Blues end up, see in his skates, he does a great job of using his skate blade to cover the puck. And then he gives back to McCulloch, goes to the net and tips it. This is all Steen. This is just a phenomenal shift by Alexander Steen as we isolate on him, stick on the ice, pass the stick side. A brilliant maneuver to end this hockey game by a score of 3-2. And our Bud Light player of the game, it could be many. But Jake Allen, with his first career win against the Pittsburgh Penguins, makes 24 saves. Bortuzzo and Gott score against their former clubs. And McCulloch gets an assist on the game winner to Steen.
As Steen gets the winner for the St. Louis Blues, his 5th game winner of the year. It's in overtime. The Blues win. 3-2. Missouri Lottery Blues Live is coming up next.